Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. Man, it feels so good to win. It does. It feels so good to win. After what we've kind of been through this year, the ups and downs, games we should have won that we lost, and that even kind of dates back to last year too, right? We left some meat on the bone last year, even though it ended up being a good year. Certainly not a really good or a great year by Mississippi State standards. It was a step back in the right direction. Then we start slipping back. But it feels so good to win. And how many times have you seen it, guys, right? It's like you think, okay, the bare minimum we need to do is get 2. Or the bare minimum we need to do on the road is get 1. Just avoid being swept. And how many times have you kind of gotten the bare minimum? A lot, right? How many times have you gotten that bonus win, though? That's what makes this weekend so much more special. And you know what? I don't know what would have happened if Chris Simonis was in that dugout. I think Mississippi State was better than Kentucky. I told you guys I expected to take the series. I didn't expect a sweep. It's so difficult to sweep in the SEC, especially against a scrappy bunch like that. But we got all 3. We got the bonus win, which kind of makes up for dropping one of those games against Florida. We felt like going to Auburn was going to be tough, and Auburn kind of proved over the weekend they're probably a little bit better than people anticipated. Not that I'm going to pat myself on the back, but I said beginning of the year, I thought Auburn was a bit of a dark horse, didn't think they would contend for the SEC, but thought they may surprise some people. And now here they are, challenging for a hosting designation. It is what it is. And we don't play Tennessee, so any win that Auburn got over Tennessee was kind of a benefit to us in the RPI. And we're going to need every one of those points we can possibly get, right? We certainly are. So let's break down the weekend. And we'll look ahead. We'll talk a little bit about the coaching search. Not going to spend a lot of time on that today. Again, it's going to be a process. It's going to take some time to unfold. But we won. And we're now 4-0 with Justin Parker as the interim coach. And I'm going to address some of that before we get out of here today. But nevertheless, feel a whole lot better about our prospects of making an NCAA regional after a 3-game sweep. We talked about how important this 8-game homestand was, that we needed to do no worse than 6-2. Well, you're 4-0 right now with a Rebel team coming in this weekend. It's kind of scuffling, as you guys are well aware. And then you got North Alabama. So you're kind of already counting that one. You're thinking, okay, well, that gives us 5. Well, you win the series this weekend against Ole Miss. Things feel a little different around here, as they should. And then we head to Missouri. And we will be there for all of the action for you. We're not just going for us. It'd be just easy to sit at home, and get some DoorDash food and sit around and watch a game on TV. We could do that. It'd be a lot easier, but we're not. We're going to go there because I think not only do we have a commitment to all of you, but I think that could be a very big weekend for Mississippi State. We could accomplish some pretty cool things ahead of going to Hoover. Then we'll race back from Columbia, Missouri, and we'll get ready for Hoover because that's what we do. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of this show. We love Bulldog Burger Company. I am going to partake in some Bulldog Burger Company this week. I can hardly wait. I would do it today if I had a little more time to plan. Probably go knock that out tomorrow. Matter of fact, Tuesday lunch at Bulldog Burger Company just sounds perfect to me. No midweek game this week, so I got plenty of time to just kind of sit there and enjoy, right? Just kind of take it all in. Great food, great atmosphere, great pricing, great service. And one of the things that I love about them is just the integrity. There were so many people that were trying to stick it to us after COVID. And listen, I get it. A lot of businesses really struggled, and we're grateful they stayed open. But man, there were a lot of people out there adding this convenience charge and things of that nature, and you're just basically paying more than what you should have. Well, Bulldog Burger Company never did that. They never switched up on us, kids. They remain loyal to us, so we remain loyal to them. Ask the people in your family, hey, where do you want to eat tonight? Chances are Bulldog Burger Company is going to be the first request. Go have those spring rolls as your appetizer. They'll make you and everybody around you better looking. Find a great restaurant quality hamburger that works for you on that day. Because your taste may change. One day you say, you know what, Steve, I need a little more protein. So I'm going to get the smokehouse. And maybe you want to get out there and kind of enjoy a little bit life on the wild side. Maybe get the mission with the pico de gallo on the side. That way you can kind of control your onion distribution. I don't ever have onion distribution. Maybe you do. But find your own favorites at Bulldog Burger Company. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowwood area. And those wings are kind of a sneaky, good appetizer too. As my youngest son Ian would say, Daddy, the wings at Bulldog Burger Company are kind of low-key good. Yeah, you don't expect it, and you get them, you're like, hey, why haven't I been ordering this? Sometimes I get them as an entree. I just get like the appetizer portion and keep them all to myself. Love wings. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet, M-E-A-T. Okay, let's just jump right in. Right? We won 3 games, so we don't have to avoid a pothole at any point during this show. We can just be happy and be positive. And one of the things that I want to say, guys, please, 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 let's get behind this team. Let's get behind these coaches. Let's get behind everybody that's representing us and support them. We don't gain anything by being negative, okay? There's going to be plenty of things to gripe about in the coaching search, if you want to. Like your favorite candidate didn't interview or backs out or whatever. There's going to be plenty of that. But we've got a team that's very capable, that's been through some difficult things. And now here we are at the end trying to salvage something from this season. Think about how you consider the 2018 team. They could have folded up and gone to the house, but they didn't. They ended up taking us to Omaha. I'm not suggesting that's the case with this group. I'm just saying this team needs us, and we lose nothing from winning. Nothing. Many of you were like, I don't want us to win enough for Lamona's to come back. Well, that's now been removed. I've never, ever rooted against Mississippi State in a sporting event in my life. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. We're not going to win enough to keep Chris Lamona's. We've been gone a week now. So I know some people have kind of been engaged for 3 years. It's like the same old talking points over and over again. Erase that from your memories and let's get behind this team. So pleased with our fans this weekend. It turned out, and we're so incredibly supportive. Saw a big group of guys and gals after the games, kind of getting some autographs, checking in with their favorite players. I think that stuff's super cool. But let's get behind the team. We have nothing to lose from winning ball games. You're going to have a new coach next year regardless of what happens. So let's kind of stay after it. Let's stay after it. Do our part. Support this Bulldog team. All right, let's jump into our Friday recap. It starts out pretty good. One thing I'll tell you, I don't know if I've ever seen so many triples in a weekend. Every time I turn around, now some of that we misplayed some balls. They go down as triples. But there are a few balls that we misplayed. But give those guys some credit. They don't have a ton of power. They kind of got warning track power. And then they hit a ball on a line somewhere and it careens off a wall. Next thing you know, they're getting after it. But, first inning, 1-2-3 inning for Pico. You punch out a couple there. And then State gets a leadoff single from Garrick Fry. And how good has Garrick Fry been for us since he's been an everyday starter? It's crazy, man. We don't do anything with it. We get a fly out, pop out, and a ground out. So we strand the runner. And then in the second here, things kind of begin to go off kilter. And like all of you, I was a little concerned. I was like, well, maybe this ain't going to go the way that I want. They get a leadoff single from Brown, then Caius Gargett. What a great name that is. Should probably be in music. He singles to left. We get a fly out, and the next thing you know, it's a triple. And it's one of those crazy triples that actually hit the ground in fair territory in the infield and turns into a triple. We're playing corners in. They hit a big hard chop. It gets over Hines' head. And rolls and rolls and rolls, and then we misplay it out there. It should have been a double and an error, but they gave him a triple. The 2-run score, and then McCoy walks Montoya reaches on the sack bunt there, and we go out and kind of settle everybody down. And next thing you know, we get the pickoff here, right? And then there's a walk and a strikeout swinging. So it could have been worse, but, a crooked number for the Wildcats early, and you're thinking, man, this is not a great thing. This is not a good thing for us to get down with in a battle of aces, right? I mean, our guy's already given up 3 runs 2 innings into this thing. And so, yeah, you were right to be concerned. Absolutely. Bottom of second, Hines goes down swinging, and Chance with an infield hit there, and it's so crazy. The guy was a little bit slow, and it's almost disrespectful to Bryce. Bryce doesn't get enough credit at times for being the athlete that he is. You are not going to be able to double clutch on Bryce Chance on a ball in the 6 hole and throw him out unless you're Alex Rodriguez or Derek Jeter. I mean, it's just not going to happen. This is the Southeastern Conference. Guys get down the line. And he was a little bit slow, kind of rounding that ball off, and then next thing you know, it's an infield single. Stallman flies out to center. Then Joe Powell, the hero of the weekend, walks and gets down in this count. I guess he was ahead 2-1, and then it evens it up there, and he kind of works the count, doesn't chase. We get a guy on. Gat Sanders, and, I never expect Gat to carry us, but, man, what a contributor he has proven to be. Guys, he gets down 0-2 in here. And then fouls off, and then takes a ball, fouls one off, takes another ball, fouls one off, and wins the at-bat by singling through the left side there with 2 outs to chase home the Bulldogs' first run. They go out and talk to him, and then they plunk Fry, and then there is the fielder's choice. They're retiring at second. So you're down 2, headed to the 3rd inning. You feel like there's plenty of innings left in this ball game. We just need to go out here and kind of settle in, and we do. We do give up the double to Haig, and I thought this was a very significant point in the ball game. They get a runner in scoring position with nobody out, and you know what a great job they do at moving runners. Well, we get a strikeout swinging here. Of course, they tried to bunt, couldn't get it done. And then he bunched the 3rd strike, so he's out. Well, then we walk Garrett, and we get the ground out to short, and that's the only play we could make. And then you get they decided to bunt to try to catch us by surprise. Nice play by Ace Reese here, but here we go, a runner in scoring position, and then he gets to 3rd, and we never let him get home. I thought that was a very significant development in the ball game because you don't want them to answer, right? You got to get a hold. We get a leadoff walk to Ace. Sullivan goes down swinging. Hines then walks, lengthy at bat. I thought Hunter had some great at bats this weekend. Even when he didn't hit the ball hard somewhere, he worked a lot of counts. He made pitchers work, and here he's paid off with the walk. Chanson lines out to left. Stallman grounds out to second. So we get a couple walks in the inning, and we don't make them pay. And you hate those opportunities, but payday came a little bit later. Pico with a 1-2-3 inning here, and hey, all these balls put in play, but man, it's a really, really quick inning for Pico. Ends up being a 7-pitch inning. Kind of gets you back on track when it comes to pitch counts. All right, bottom of the 4th, we have knocked Harris out of the ballgame. They bring in Adcock, and Joe Powell says hello. Double to center field. First pitch of the outing. Sanderson goes down swinging. Fry singles to right field, up pitch runners on the corners, and then Sawyer Reeves steps up, and what a stabilizing force he has been for us since he has been at short. Singles up the middle, the run scores, it's a 3-2 ball game. Ace grounds out the first, and it works like a bunt. We move both runners along there, and then what do you know? It's a wild pitch. So we play some good situational baseball here. We couldn't get the base hit, but we moved the runners and have a productive out. We are rewarded with the wild pitch. The run scores, and the game is now tied. Sullivan strikes out swinging, and Hines singles through the right side. And, Sullivan did go down swinging. However, it's a wild pitch, and the run scores, we take a lead. So about two wild pitches in the inning. And, again, you're not even in that situation without the Ace Reese moving those runners. Of course, he'd love to hit one out of the ballpark, but at the very least you want to get the productive out. He does, and that paves the way for 2 runs here. You put pressure on the defense, man. You get guys to third. It changes the pitch selection. It changes the way that the pitcher operates. Everything changes when you get that runner to third. You got to be a little careful. You can't just bury that breaking ball or throw that wipeout slider. Comes back to bite him here. 4-3 ball game. Then Hines singles to the right side. Chanson singles to right, and Sullivan comes around to score. Now it's a 5-3 ball game, and there is joy in Starkville, Mississippi. There was more joy on the way here. Now, top of 5, we made it an error, and we played clean all weekend. This is just one of those unfortunate things that happens. We just didn't play it clean. And then there's a wild pitch, so we compound it, and that's when you start thinking, okay, this is going to be a bad thing. We give them the base, they make it first, and then there's a wild pitch. We basically give them a double. Haig flies out to center. Runner goes to third. Runner at third, less than 2 outs. I don't know the numbers on that, but they typically score. Brown isn't hit by the pitch. We go out and talk to Pico, and he gets the ground ball here. We're not able to turn 2, but they do get a run back, makes it a 5-4 game. And then Burks is hit by the pitch. And so, I mean, the fire's still warm here, right? And we get Lawrence fly out to center, and that gets us out of the inning. And again, you probably didn't see, after that great fourth from Pico, you probably didn't expect the fifth to be what it was. And again, when you're rolling up ground balls, you want to get outs. Joe Powell again welcomes a Kentucky Wildcat reliever with a big hit. Powell homers down the left field line here to make it a 6-4 ball game off Skelding. And then after that, not much going for State. Sanders grounds out, Fry lines out, and Reeves flies out. But good contact by the Bulldogs. And I would prefer to be that team, right? The team that's putting the ball in play, because you figure at some point these things turn into line drives. All right, top of 6, we get a ground out to third, a pop up to the shortstop, and we think, okay, we're going to get out of this thing without any trouble. And then there's a triple, right? And then we hit another guy, the third for Pico. And that's it for Pico. You bring in Ben Davis, and he's able to get Cole Hage, their best player, to strike out swinging. And so the runner stays at third here. They leave 2. 6-4 ball game, and it really felt then like we were about to kind of take control, and then the Bulldogs go to work here with the sticks in the bottom of 6 and kind of remove all doubt here. Ace Reese doubles to right center to open things up. They walk Sullivan on 4 pitches, and then Hines is walked on 4 pitches. Bases are now loaded. And how many times this year have we been in these situations where we don't get the big hit? We get a strikeout, roll into a double play, or a pop-up on the infield. Instead, Bryce Chance gets down in this count 1-2. And he fights and fights and fights and fights and battles and battles and battles. Fouls off a full count pitch. And then singles through the left side. That allows a run to score, make it 7-4. Then they walk Reed Stallman, the third walk of the inning, forces in a run to make it 8-4. They change pitchers. And then Joe Powell's like, oh, another Wildcat reliever? Fresh meat, baby. Yeah, that's right. Then he doubles down the left field line. And that's how many times have we not gotten that big hit? But you get 3 quality at-bats here with the bases loaded. And there's Joe again, just coming through. Probably should have been your SEC Player of the Week. He wasn't. Now it's 10-4. Gets Sanderson comes up, and he slaps one through the right side there, allows another run to score. It's 11-4. And I'm at this point, I'm thinking, we got it, guys. If we can get a couple more runs here, you get 3 more runs and 3 outs, this ball game is over. And I think some people on press row maybe were surprised by that. I'm like, hey, we need to go ahead and get our media requests together because this thing could be over with here in a few minutes. So we get all that together. Of course, we're going to talk to Joe. For sure. Fry goes down looking, and then Reeves singles through the left side. Another run scores. It's 12-4. Reese goes down swinging on 3 pitches. And then Noah Sullivan, one of his biggest hits of the weekend, doubles down the right field line, takes it the other way. 2-run score. It is now 14-4. Hines goes down swinging on 3 pitches. And guess we're 3 outs away from a mercy ruling of a pretty good Kentucky club. I'm not going to sit here and say they're great. You know, they're kind of right where we are. And I think after you guys saw us play them, we are the more talented team. So, Brown goes down looking. They pinch hit. Harson singles through the right side. And then we get the double play to end it. On an 0-2 count, Kuntz gets out of there. 14-4 is your final. And the Bulldogs you knew it. That's game one, right? That's game one of the doubleheader. You felt like, okay, if you're Nick Mingione, I don't want to play two nines. I really don't want to finish this first game in 9 innings and waste another arm, or there's just no point. The game's over, right? So let's just get the game over, and it was. Which leads me, we're going to go ahead and do it now. We'll do our Close with Blair Player of the Weekend, and it's Joe Powell. You know it is. There's no questions about it. It's Joe Powell, the fireman coming. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Joe was big in every ball game. Didn't have a ton of hits yesterday, but he gets the walk-off hit on Saturday, and then he gets the big hit on Sunday. You got to love it. Blair's number 601-500-2344. 601-500-2344. Why do I need this number? Well, you need this number because you're an adult, or you're becoming an adult, or maybe you're having to make some adult decisions. Sometimes families break up. Sometimes people move. Some people get transferred. Sometimes you've outgrown your current residence. You need a seasoned mortgage loan originator to help take care of those issues. So whether you're looking for your first home, your next home, or your retirement home, turn to closewithblair.com. That's CLOSE with Blair, BLAIR.com. Give him a call or text today. He can get you that pre-qualification letter, too. That is such a key element in this. It saves you and your real estate agent so much time. Hey, what price range are we looking for? We've already got our financing approved. You want to talk about how quick you can close and begin the next phase of your life? Yeah, you get that pre-qualification letter, get all that stuff done, and then next thing you know, you get a purchase agreement, and we're setting a closing date. Yeah, simple as that. Blair closed another Boneyard loan just last week. Always lets me know. And you guys, every year, we get multiple loans for Boneyard listeners close, and I like to keep business in the family. And Blair's a Bulldog through and through. Rides a wave of emotion, and I can tell you, baseball season's been tough on him, but he's feeling good today. You might want to call him today while he's in a good mood. Might even get a better deal. Maybe. I don't know. Blair Chandler at closewithblair.com. All right, so let's jump to Game 2 here. Game 2 of the series and Game 2 of the day. And we ended up playing 18 innings after all. Right? You thought, hey, we get the sevens in. Because everybody's like, hey, are these 2 sevens? Guys, the only time it's 2 sevens is if it's the getaway day. If it's the third day. Like if the series starts on Thursday and you have to play 2 on Saturday, they're sevens. You start a series on Friday, you finish on Sunday and have to play a doubleheader, they're sevens. If you play 2 on Friday or 2 on Saturday and you still have Sunday to play with, those are going to be 9-inning games. The only time you play 2 sevens is on the getaway day. And I get this every time we play a doubleheader. It doesn't matter what day we play it on. Are these sevens? The only time it's sevens is the getaway day. That's the last day that you can play a series. All right, so let's jump in here and talk about Game 2. Not as much offense, but just enough for the Bulldogs, right? And again, another interesting start. Evan Sierra is kind of an unsung hero of this team. I think that's fair to say. We made some changes in the rotation, and Sierra has kind of served as an opener for us. But, man, the last few weeks, he has been really good. And I think he's only getting better. So Sierra opens the first with a 1-2-3 inning here. Has a couple of punch outs, and it seems like when he gets that breaker going early, he's tough. Our bottom of 1, State gets on here on a throwing error, and we give it right back. So Fry strikes out looking. Reeves gets on base on a throwing error, and then we're caught stealing. And then Reeves strikes out swinging. So not necessarily a 1-2-3 inning, but they face the minimum. Sierra then gets a 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of 2nd, State's back on the sticks. We get a leadoff single from Noah Sullivan on the very first pitch. And it's so interesting to kind of go back and look at this. You learn things over the course of a ball game. You learn how people are going to attack you, right? I mean, so you may think you know, but you don't know. And they started Nick McKay, a guy that's kind of like Stone Simmons, had a ton of injuries. But McKay was starting us out with that 92 to 93 mile per hour fastball a lot. And if you read the scouting report on him, and those are available to Gene's Page VIP members, you probably were expecting that. Well, it appears the Bulldogs were kind of taking a wait-and-see mode. So we get into the second after seeing the first three hitters of the first inning be thrown a first-pitch fastball for a strike. Well, then Noah Sullivan says, I don't mind if I do, and he rips that first-pitch fastball in the left for a single. Hunter Hines, again, lengthy at bat. The much maligned Hunter Hines, too, and I'm hoping we can kind of move on from that, right? I mean, honestly, he had one stretch this year where he had a 12-game hitting streak, and to hear some of the traffic on social media, you would think he hadn't had a hit in a month. Hines, again, we get down in this count 1-2. We even at 2-2, and then we foul off 4 straight pitches, and then he hits a home run down the right field line that left the yard at 110 miles per hour. It is now a 2-0 Bulldog lead. Chance grounds out to short, Stallman flies out to left, Powell then strikes out looking, one of the few times that Joe didn't do damage. All right, top of the third, Bergs pops up to second, and then Lawrence is hit by the pitch. This is kind of self-inflicted, right? McCoy flies out to left, and you think, okay, we'll be able to navigate through this. But no, we give up a 2-run home run on an 0-2 pitch. Too much plate on 0-2. And sometimes that happens. And I had a friend of mine say, Steve, he kind of hit a good pitch. Maybe he did. I'm going to try to see if I can get him a chase. I'm not going to give him anything he can poke out of the yard. Well, we do here, and it's 2-2. Caius Gargett walks. Again, he should probably be in music. Still second, but we get Hanson to strike out swinging. That Hanson's a good-looking kid, too. I mean, he looks like a ball player. All right, 2-2 headed to the third, and State gets the lead right back. Sanders flies out to right, and then Fry homers to center field. You're like, okay, well, that's good. Can we get the second run back? Sawyer Reeves is like, yes, sir, I can. He also homers. We go back-to-back jacks there and get those 2 runs right back. So important. Ace Reese then hammers the ball to left field for a double. They go out and chat about it. Sullivan grounds out to third. They walk Hines. And then Chance reaches on the fielder's choice here, and the run ends up scoring. It's kind of a wild scenario here, right? So they get the ball to the shortstop, and then they're not able to turn 2. And there's the throwing error on top of it. And so here's how this thing broke down. So it's a ground ball to the shortstop, and it's to his right. So he's going to play it to third because the force is at third. And so rather than take his time, he kind of rushes to throw. Because there's no way, absolutely no way, that you're going to get a play anywhere else. And I think I said they couldn't get 2. That they already had 2 outs. So you're going to try to take the easy play at third. I had to kind of think about this for a second. And he throws the ball away, and then Reese scores. So everybody's safe, and then Stallman flies out to left. And so more times than not, you've seen a lot of guys that will take that easy out at third on the force. And every shortstop you'll see, they'll kind of communicate with the third baseman even before the first pitch of the at-bat and say, hey, if it comes to my right, I'm coming to you, be ready. You see it all the time. Which reminds me, too, about third base communication. And I asked Justin Parker about this yesterday after postgame. We talked about trying to put in some wrinkles to kind of slow down this Kentucky running game. And they run that first and third steal play so often. Justin Parker clearly recognized it. There was one thing, if you go back and watch this game, that you'll see. Runners at first and third, and LSU's already beat us with it a couple times this year, right? You got to figure out what you're going to prioritize here. You're trying to eliminate the runner from first, stealing second, but you don't want to get cute there and allow that runner from third to leak down the line. And so we do something kind of silly here. Like we've already called that we're going to throw backside to first. Well, before we do that, or as we do that, Ace Reese kind of darts over to the bag at third like we're running a play. Well, then the runner is going to retreat, right? So any chances that you're going to try to steal home on that situation are removed. And it gives us a chance to throw backside. So Ace darts over, runner from third has to retreat, we throw to first, and it all happens in a matter of a second, right? And you may just pick that guy at first. And I love throwing backside. I do. I love throwing backside because a lot of times, most teams don't do it, and a lot of guys get a little lazy out there thinking, they're not going to throw backside. And so even though we didn't pick anybody, we kind of held them honest and accountable so they couldn't steal that bag. The more you know, right? All right, top of 4, and what do you know? It's Hage tripling to right field, another triple, and then Schwartz triples and the run scores. And the plates are almost identical. Brown strikes out looking. Burks has walked here, and then Burks steals second. Lawrence singles to the right side, makes it a 5-4 ball game, and then we go get Stone for Evan. We get a fly out, and the run scores, ties the ball game. RBI sac fly. There's a pass ball. Bell was hit by the pitch. Stone didn't look his best, but he kind of got it through there, and he gets Garrett to strike out looking. So we get out of there in a 5-5 ball game. But again, it's like you felt really good opening that inning, but you give up 3 runs again. Bottom of 4, 1-2-3 inning for Kentucky. We bring in McPherson, and he gets a 1-2-3 inning as well. Bottom of 5, McKay's still rolling. We go 1-2-3 again. The game had really settled in the middle innings. Top of 6, a chance for Kentucky here with 2 outs. It's a 2-out walk to Lawrence. And how do we say it, kids? 2-out walks are of the devil. It's true. And then we compound the issue by another 4-pitch walk to McCoy. Now there's runners at first and second. It's true. But thankfully we get Bell to strike out swinging. Lengthy at bat there. We got behind and I count 3-1 and battle back to get the K. And so that felt like Kentucky. It may have been their last gasp, I guess you could say. And it sounds kind of silly considering that this game was just basically half over. But that was a real serious threat that we kind of played a part in. Hines grounds out to first. Chance grounds out to the pitcher. We get a 2-out walk to Stallman. And when that happens to us, they are of the Lord. It's true. Powell then grounds out to second. And so we head to the 7th. And we're just kind of steamrolling here. Again, it's become a pitcher's duel. 1-2-3 inning there. Bottom of 7, they make a pitching change. We get McKay out of it. They bring in Novi, and he gets a 1-2-3 inning. And you kept thinking, this is going to boil down to just one big swing, isn't it? That's how it felt. Our top of 8, Schwartz goes down swinging, and then Brown strikes out looking. And this is with Nate Williams in the game. And I thought McPherson, other than the 2-out walks in the 5th, was really good. And so Nate comes in and strikeout swinging, strikeout looking, ground out to short. Nate gave us a really good effort. And, again, I think we shared with you guys that he was kind of tipping the pitches at Alabama. They didn't catch on to it. Florida did. We've been working on some things since then. We kind of got our old Nate back. Our bottom of 8, strikes out looking. Sullivan is hit by the pitch, and then they walk Hines. You think, okay, this might be our moment here. This might be it. It wasn't to be, though. It wasn't. Chance flies out to right field. O'Brien takes third. And then, this is kind of part of the deal. They challenge it, didn't work out. But Stallman, lengthy at bat there. But in the end, it's Gregerson that wins, right? And we end up straining some runners there. So we got to go to the 9th now. Instead of us needing 3 innings to walk off here and wrap this thing up, we've got to find a way to break the tie. Ross Highfield takes over in right field, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Nate. Strikeout, ground out, strikeout. Bottom of 9, Powell goes down looking in the book, but he gets beat on a pitch clock violation. I don't like the rule on a 3rd strike. I'm just going to say it for what it is. It's happened to us twice this year. It's happened to some other people. I don't think that's within the spirit of the game, in my opinion. Centers and grounds out. Fry singles down the left field line, and then Reeves lines out to center field. You were hoping that maybe Sawyer could give one a ride or perhaps get a ball down in the gap and give Gehrig a chance to run. But 5-5, now we go to 10. They tried the leadoff bunt, doesn't work. They do get a single back up the middle. Then it's a strikeout looking and then a ground out. And it's in the books as a ground out to catcher, unassisted, but it's really interference. We get ready to throw the ball down. And here's a lesson for you kids. You cannot get hitter interference when throwing down if you don't throw the baseball. You have to throw the baseball. If you don't throw it, you're not going to get the call. And this is a scenario here where a guy leaves the box and impedes the throw of the catcher. You're going to get that call every single time. And some guys even coach that, right? They coach, try to get in the way a little bit, just enough. If Joe doesn't throw that ball down, it's a stolen base. it's not going to be interference. So young catchers throw the baseball. Bottom of 10. And again, you think we may have some chances here. We don't. And we kind of ran ourselves out of the inning here too, right? Close play, but one that we probably wish we had back. Reese lines out to right, and then Spalletta comes in and pinch hit, flies out to center field. And then Hunter Hines hits one that kind of gets loose. It's going to be a double, and then the guy misplays it. So we take off for third. And this is a guy that's trying to make a play for his team. Can't knock the hustle. But this is not really Hunter Hines' game. But he's trying to win. He's trying to be a leader. So I admire the hustle. The throw barely gets him. They review it, and one view made it seem like maybe he got the hand in there. But then when you look a little closer with these new Hawkeye technology, you can see that he was indeed out. But I do not knock his intentions. It wasn't the smartest play, but I understand the motivation was very good. I'd love to have had Bryce Chance hitting with the runner in scoring position and 2 outs. I think Bryce probably would have got it done. Top of 11, we're still just kind of rolling on here with Nate. We get a fly out to right, and then a walk, and then there's a hit by pitch. Okay, let's not wait around. We go get Luke Dotson, who gets a ground out to first. It works like a bunt as both runners move up a bag, and then we get a ground out to second on the next pitch and get out of it. And then lo and behold, Bryce Chance comes up with a double to left center, and Gage had it at first. Hage had it, collides into the wall. He goes down. The ball is just laying there, and then the trainers come out and check on him. The kid's just playing hard, trying to help his team win a ball game. I got so much respect for that. Heifel goes down swinging, and then it's the fireman coming through again with the rescue wagon. It's Joe Powell singling through the left side, and Bryce Chance scores, slides head first. I suspect there have not been many head first slides that felt better than that one for young Bryce Chance, who's also engaged. And Aaron Downs got engaged over the weekend too. Maybe you were aware. I don't know. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. So State takes the first 2. We've clinched the series, and now we're thinking, hey, can we find a way? Can we find a way to get a sweep in this series? Now, I'm greedy, right? And here's another thing, too. I was thinking about all you guys, right? Because we all love this. And how many times do you win the first 2 games and then you don't sweep on Sunday? It just puts, a damper on the weekend. Like, if I'm only going to win 2, let me win on Friday, lose on Saturday, and win on Sunday, right? Because, you win the rubber game, you feel like, okay, all right, right? Positive note to end the weekend. But you lose that Sunday game or game 3, and it just lingers. And I thought, man, with no midweek, that's just going to stay with us all week. Oh, this team with no margin for error, and they couldn't get it done. And I thought, man, it's going to be a great week if we can sweep. Well, we do. So let's go back and relive it again. Ben Cleaver, who has been Kentucky's best pitcher, and you can kind of see why. The stuff's not really dynamic, but his, mechanically, like his length is a problem, right? I mean, he hides the ball exceptionally well. I think some people are calling him the Slim Reaper. I dig it. I think it's a cool name. But the kid's good. He is. And people were telling me they thought McKay was going to be their best on Saturday. I felt like Cleaver was. My conversations at Auburn last weekend, Cleaver was the guy that really impressed them. And I thought, well, maybe good to have him on Sunday, right? All right, top of first. We get 2 outs quickly. Bell flies out, and then Hage strikes out swinging. And then Hansen on 0-1 pitch, it's a triple. But the run doesn't get home. McCoy flies out. But again, another triple. Just nuts, man. I mean, you rarely ever see him, and I think we saw 1,000 over the weekend. Bottom of 1, Fry grounds out to second. Reese flies out, and then they walk Reese. They go out and talk about it, and Sullivan fouls out. So the 2-out walk doesn't come back to hurt him there. Because, 2-out walks, when they happen to us, they're just heavenly. They're of the Lord. Top of second, Lawrence is hit by the pitch. And I'm thinking, can we not do this? Can we not have the come apart in a game this important to the season? Cameron flies out to left. Montoya goes down swinging. And then we get Lawrence caught stealing. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And to do that early is so good. Like Joe, you got to show that you're going to hold them accountable. And how many times this year have we struggled with that? And that's really both catchers, too. Joe, down the stretch, has played better behind the plate than Ross. I think people will admit that. I think Ross will admit that. But it's big to get a caught stealing early because it makes people, number one, aware of the fact that you have the ability to throw them out. Very significant out, and it really gave the crowd a big lift. State goes 1-2-3 here in the second. Top of third, we plunked the first guy, first pitch of the inning. You think, well, here we go. Peltier gets a sac bunt down, moves me around the second, and you think, you know what, they're going to score here. But no, Bell strikes out swinging. Kuntz does make it to third on the wild pitch, but then we get Hayes to strike out swinging. Really, really good exchange there with Carson Ligon and Joe Powell. Joe was really pumped. Bottom of third, and some good things begin to happen for your Bulldogs. Ross Highfield, your starting right fielder on the day, singles to left. And then Gatt, we love Gatt. He walks. A real threat here. And you think, okay, do we sacrifice the runners around here? We decide not to. We're going to play for the big inning. And we get a very lengthy at-bat here with a 1-2 count. We get down in this count. You know, it's 1-1. Then it's like foul ball city. And I begin to wonder if Cleaver could finish Garrick Fry. I mean, I think Garrick Fry saw 25 pitches in this ballgame. It's nuts, man. And so they end up plunking him. Now the bases are loaded, right? And you think, we got to make something happen out of this. We got to make it count. This feels like it's going to be a pitcher-type duel. We got to make it happen. Reeves, the big chopper, out the second. The only play is second base there. I mean, you weren't going to get two, and the run scores. And then Reese flies out to center, but it's deep enough for the run to score. So an RBI sac fly there makes it a 2-0 ball game. Sullivan flies out to center. And everybody in Starkville, I can tell you, everybody's like, 2 runs is not going to be enough. Man, I feel really good about being ahead in this ball game, especially against a pitcher like that. And what do you know? We put the leadoff guy on again. And that's it. That's it for Carson Ligon. And, again, you kind of go back and look at it, you know, the very first hitter of the ball game, flat out, but every other inning when Ligon was in the ball game, we gave them the leadoff hit by pitch or walk. We go get Ben Davis. There's a single to left center, and they try to stretch it into a double, and we throw him out. Hanson comes around to third. Lawrence is in hit by the pitch. And it's like, hey, this is the moment again. This is the mental health check moment of the Mississippi State baseball team is happening right here in this inning. We walk a leadoff guy. We make a good defensive play to get their guy at second for being a little bit too aggressive, and then we plunk the next guy. So now we've got runners on the corners and less than 2 outs. Well, we give up a sac fly here. RBI sac fly makes it 2-1, but then Montoya flies out. So we get out of it without any further damage. But again, so much of that was self-inflicted. But we get out of it with the lead. Bottom of 4, Hines grounds out. Chance, again, walk. Every time I turn around, Chance is doing something good, right? Whether it's a big defensive play or it's a walk or good situational hitting. I think Bryce is playing some of the best baseball of his career. Powell then flies out to center field. And then Heifel goes down swinging. So we don't make anything of the walk. But, again, I thought some pretty good contact for the most part. Up and down the order, maybe the first couple times through. And so you feel like maybe we're going to break through here. All right, top of 5. We do it again. Carson's not even in the game, but we do it again. Ben Davis still on back-to-back days. I know you're a little bit sore. It's part of the deal. So we walk Kuntz on 5 pitches. And what do you know? They get the sac bunt down, move the runner to second. Then there's a ground out to first. Kuntz goes to third, and then no further. It's all set up for Hage again. And we get the ground out to shortstop. So, again, for the 4th time in 5 innings, we give them the leadoff hitter, and they don't score. Yeah, good stuff. Bottom of 5. It's Gatt again. Shout out to Granny Gatt. Sanders singles through the right side, being a table setter. Yeah, it is, and end up being a double play here. And the play at second was interesting, and I suspect that he bumped the corner of the bag before he made the throw to first. His initial step at the bag, the footwork wasn't clean, okay? And so we challenge it because he didn't initially step on the bag, but I really believe he drugged the foot. You couldn't see it, but it ultimately ends up being a double play. And then Reeves fouls out. But even with all the replays available today, there wasn't a good enough angle for us to overturn it. And even on the center field camera, I don't think you're going to see if he touched the bag or not. So the call stands. Had it gone the other way, I think it would have stood as well. Our top of the 6th, we get the leadoff guy on a ground out to second, get McCoy to go down swinging, and then Lawrence with a 2-out single back up the middle, but we get Cameron to go down looking too. Really good pitching performance of Ben Davis on short rest, right? Back-to-back days. Bottom of 6, we need some good things to happen. They do. Ace opens up with a single the other way. Sullivan flies out to left. They make a pitching change here on a 2-0 count. Bring in the left-handed knuckleballer, I guess. It's like all he does is throw change-ups. He ends up walking Hines. And Chance then singles. This bunt was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And he's not bunting for the sacrifice. He's bunting for the hit. And he pushes that bunt in a near perfect spot. There was zero chance they were going to get him out. I mentioned earlier how fleet of foot Chance is. That's a good example right there. And you got to think, even if they get him, we've moved the runners around, right? But instead, it's a bases loaded situation. And again, how many times this year we get bases loaded and we don't do anything with it? Well, not this weekend. More times than not, we came through. Powell, again, singles through the left side. And, a couple run score here. And then the ball comes back in. Everybody advances on the throw. Wasn't a great throw. Ends up being an E7. They bring in Henschel, and somebody made the comment about, hey, Jared Lorenzen, remember him, the hefty lefty, what they used to call him? I believe he's passed away now. But, man, if you remember him, like he looked like an offensive lineman playing quarterback in the 90s for Kentucky. Well, this guy was also a left-hander and wore number 22. So there's kind of like an obvious parallel there. They bring in Henschel, but he wasn't able to do much with us. He gets the ground out to second. It's an RBI. Run scores, makes it a 5-1 ball game. He walks Gatt, and then Fry grounds out to third. But it's 5-1 now going to the 7th. We bring in Dane Burns, who had a really good outing against Auburn. Thought he was good against Kentucky as well. But again, we get ready to get going here, and we just simply need to throw strikes. They pinch hit here. We get the fly out to left, and then we walk Burks. And they pinch hit again, and it's a single down the third baseline. But Burns battles right back. We get a line out to right, and then we get Hage to pop up to second. And again, we did a really good job not letting Kentucky's best player beat us. We've done that a few times this year. And again, give Parker a lot of credit for that. Our bottom of the 7, tons of changes. They bring Novi back. And then Reeves greets him with a single to the left. Reeves is hit by the pitch. Sullivan and singles to the right side. Bases are loaded. Now, here's one of the rare situations where we didn't do a whole lot, but we were still able to get a run home. Hines strikes out swinging, but then Chance goes up there, does a job, lines out to center. It's deep enough to get the run home. So, again, you're able to expand the lead. When you get ducks on the pond, you got to find a way to get them in. And we did in this situation get one. And it's so important to tack on. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just superstition for me. 5 runs seem so much more significant than 4. And the reason that I feel that way is one big swing's not going to tie the game, right? So it gives me a chance to manage it a little bit because let's say you make an error, walk a guy, the guy singles through the right side, and there's a grand slam and you're tied. Things happen fast. You got to try to slow the game down. But even in that scenario, if they hit the grand slam, I still have the lead. But again, it just feels, when it's 5 runs, to me, it feels so much bigger. So here we are, 5-run lead going to the 8th. And so much has changed about the complexion of this ball game because of the fact State was able to kind of tack on a little bit in the middle innings here. But top of 8, Dottie comes back for the second straight day. He gets Hanson to go down looking, gives up the single, comes back with a strikeout, and then Cameron walks on a full count. I thought we had him on the 3-1 pitch, but the umpire did not agree. And then Brown flies out to left. And that really, again, we talked earlier about it really felt like that was their best chance early. Bottom of 8, State goes 1, 2, 3. I'm just ready to get the game over, right? I never want to give away at bats, but I'm ready to get this game over. Heifel goes down swinging, Sanders strikes out looking, and Fry grounds out to the shortstop. But top of 9, we get Burks to fly out to center field. What a tremendous catch by Michael O'Brien, number 2 on ESPN SportsCenter's top 10 last night. I know the family. I love them all. What a great family. And Michael O'Brien is such a quality young man. And to see him make that play, I thought Mike Rooney said it best. I mean, everything about that had to be perfect. You know, the read off the bat, right? The path to the ball, timing and measuring your steps before the leap, and to catch that ball at his apex, you know. Incredible play by Michael O'Brien. But, you know, we've seen him do that like in practice and things like that. And let's flash back last year. In the game against Missouri, we're trying to get a sweep, right? And O'Brien goes in late and has a ball go off his glove and over the fence for a home run. I can tell you that is something that has stayed with Michael O'Brien. It has. And now all of a sudden you see him go and have this opportunity and just give you a textbook example of exactly how to go rob a home run. Incredible moment for him. And it just goes to show you how invested these kids are in this team winning. And we need to match that investment. All right, so then Swartz lines out the third. Nice play by Ace here, too. That ball was hit on the nose, and Ace makes a play. And that's kind of how it happens, right? Somebody makes a big defensive play and kind of inspires everybody else. There you go. 2 outs. We give up a 2-out single. Everybody's on their feet on the 1-2 pitch, and he ends up single through the left side. But then Hage, and it's almost poetic, lines out the center to end it. And the Bulldogs complete the sweep. And how sweet and special that whole thing was. And so now we'll do our top 10 list, and then we'll kind of come back and see where does that leave us and what did the weekend look like. All right, time for today's top 10 list is always brought to you by Kalido Guitars. That's Calido Guitars.com. That is a Mississippi State-owned and operated business out of Lake Jackson, Texas. That's right. They couldn't get enough Mississippi, so they moved from, a state that has Jackson as a capital to a place with Jackson in the name, Lake Jackson, Texas. Great selection, great service, great prices, but also a great incentive to do business with them if you're a Bulldog, right? I'm always a firm believer we should keep business in the family whenever we can, because you never know where that money's going to end up. It may end up in the athletic department coffers of some school we don't like. Well, here's a scenario where you buy a high-quality instrument at a great price, and some of that money goes back to Mississippi State. I wish more businesses did this. Absolutely outstanding idea by Kalido Guitars. I've met with them, fine people, would have loved to have gone down there and seen the place when I went down to Houston, but time just did not permit for us to do that. But nevertheless, visit Kalido Guitars. And it's more than just guitars. You can find classical guitars. You can find guitars for beginners, for professionals, and everything in between. If you want an acoustic guitar, you can check that out too. I like mine loud. I don't play a lot of acoustic guitars because that distortion covers up all my mistakes. But whether you're a novice player like me or an experienced player like so many others, you can find exactly what you need, whether it be guitars, guitar cases, gig bags, strings, all the accessories that you need. I've got a guitar stand from them I'm very proud of, very well constructed, and I'm very grateful for it. And you don't need your guitar just leaning up against the wall. It's not good for it. So maybe you invest in that too. But here's the thing too. My firm belief is this. Knowing that these people are Bulldogs, maybe it's time for you to upgrade some of your equipment and throw your business their way, right? So Kalido Guitars, use promo code BSR, and that triggers a lot of things for you. Number one, a 10% discount. Yeah. And free sales tax if you don't live inside the state of Texas. Free shipping and a 5% donation of your purchase price is donated to the Bulldog Excellence / Bulldog Initiative Fund. What more could you need? It's the best deal we've ever offered, right? Be sure and check it out today. You'll be glad you did. Kalido Guitars. Okay, so I joked around with you guys on Twitter yesterday with our friends in low places tweeted. It's so interesting when I don't do that. I hear from you all. I've even had people that have advocated to get their own cities or towns on the tweet. Okay. But, hey, happy to do it. Happy to shine the light on some of our small communities around the great state of Mississippi. Yeah. Super glad to do it. So, what would we do? Wiggins, Water Valley, 3 Dubs. So, we decided, hey, let's continue this because we got to get some more wins. We do, and it's been fun. Listen, and of course, we're looking forward to the coaching search and finding out who the leader of our program is going to be. But in the meantime, we can enjoy some baseball. And again, we lose nothing by winning. We lose nothing by winning. So here we go, bands that start with the letter W. No, this isn't the electric company, but if you know that show, you know the reference. I may be dating myself. Today's show brought to you by the number 5 and the letter W. Remember that? Was that right with an electric company? I think. It's been a while. But here we go. Top 10 rock bands. Okay, so BJ, there's no widespread panic because these are rock bands. There's a better chance of Wham making the list than widespread panic, right? There's no White Stripes. The Who, no, we're not doing it. These are rock bands with a W. All right, number 10, a band that's actually a contemporary Christian group. But they rock, man, and it's We As Human. They had a song basically kind of a anti-suicide type thing called Take the Bullets Away that Lacey Sturm from Flyleaf did a guest spot on, and she is phenomenal. But we're going to go with a song that we've had before. It's Strike Back from We As Human. Number 9, a band that I think is super cool. It's kind of a one-off thing with them, and it was kind of a super group type thing, I guess that's correct. I think that's right. But the band is called We Are Harlot, and some people just kind of call them Harlot for short. But Danny Warnsnap is the vocalist for this band. You said, but Steve, what does that mean? Well, he was also the vocalist for Asking Alexandria. That's where you know him from. And when you hear these songs, you're going to be thinking, hey, this is interesting. And it is. I dig this, man, the little album they did, like 2015, track called Dancing on Nails. Great. All right, number 8, a band that maybe doesn't get the respect that it deserves from the 80s. They were big on image, but it was more of a sinister image, and that's Wasp. Yeah. So we're going to go with I Want to Be Somebody Cool, and maybe you do too. There are worse aspirations in life than that. Number 7, it's Paul McCartney's side project from the Beatles. Eventually became his full-time gig for a while, Wings. Of course, covered by Guns N' Roses. It's Live and Let Die. That's your number 7 track. Number 6, a band that I love. And so much of this happened too, like after, the grunge era and stuff, there was still some great rock music, and this is not an 80s band. They had a couple of great albums. Last Decade, Dead Century, and then Salutations from the Ghetto Nation. Man, the guy could really sing. But it's Warrior Soul. And my favorite track from Warrior Soul, I love the Losers. I love the Losers. I love that song. And it's about so many of us. But it's Love Destruction. I love that track, Love Destruction. I wish I could sing like him. Incredible. All right, number 5 on your list, it's Mike Nemeth's favorite modern rock band. A little story behind this, I think I've shared with you guys before. There was a great song that we would play before kickoff at Davis Wade Stadium, and Mike one day kind of took a liking to it. And then we started playing it at Dudy Noble Field, and it's Wolfmother, the Joker and the Thief. That's the song. Mike has a T-shirt and everything. And he may not have bought it. I may have bought it. Matter of fact, I know I did. I bought the shirt for Mike, and I gave it to him. We had the dressing ceremony right there on press row. And he does wear it about once a season now that it's warmed up. Maybe you'll see him walking around in a Wolfmother T-shirt. His daughter thinks that is like the greatest thing ever. So, Wolfmother at 5 with Joker and the Thief. Number 4, and it's interesting too. This band actually had more hits than Nirvana, even though people talk so much trash about them. They were technically trained musicians, of course. Kip Winger was the former bass player of Alice Cooper and Reb Beach, a phenomenal guitar player. And Rod Morgenstein taught music theory at the Berklee School of Music. But it's Winger, and probably not a song that you know as well. It's off the Pull album, which many people think is the best Winger album. I don't agree, but there are some that do believe that. But we're going to go with the lead single off that album. It's Down Incognito. Love it. Number 3, and you knew we couldn't have a W list without White Zombie. And when I say White Zombie, immediately what do you think of, right? What song comes to mind when you hear White Zombie? Well, it's got to be Thunder Kiss 65, right? What a great song. And they were on the Headbangers Ball, and Rob Zombie actually painted the set there. And so they were a band that kind of carved their own way through. Not really a grunge band, certainly not an 80s hair metal band, kind of in their own lane. But we're going to have some hair metal to finish this thing up. Number 2, it's Warrant. And anytime that I get a chance to talk about Warrant, I've got Down Boys tattooed on my knuckles. People don't know that. And that's in tribute to Jani Lane, who I met towards the end of his career when there was a lot going on with him personally. And he was trying to figure out the recovery piece. And had a chance to meet with him in Baton Rouge. And he made the comment that he was kind of known as the cherry pie guy. And I told him then, I said, there's a lot worse things to be known for than that. And he told me then the song that he wished that he would be better known for was this one. It's The Bitter Pill off the Dog Eat Dog album. And I love it. And I think you'll dig it too if you don't know it. We could have easily gone with Cherry Pie or Uncle Tom's Cabin. And those of us that were with us in Jackson, when we saw Warrant, Trickster, and Firehouse, they played Uncle Tom's Cabin live for the very first time in an arena. We were there. We got to hear it. Super cool. So Warrant's The Bitter Pill, number 2. But number 1, it's got to be Whitesnake, right? And it is. It's Whitesnake. And I decided, you know what? I've gone with some songs and some bands, a little more obscure. I'm going to go with one of your favorites. It's Here I Go Again. And it's so interesting, too. It's so funny. You work through this stuff, and it's like, well, here I go again. And these songs mean so much to us. And I think the fact that you can take ownership of a song that doesn't really in any way reflect your life says a lot about the song and the songwriter, right? Like Here I Go Again on My Own, Going Down the Only Road I've Ever Known. I've been with the same woman, man, since I was 19 years old, or 20. Yeah, I've been with the same woman over half my life. So I don't know that road, right? I know where it is, right? I've driven down it, but I've known a lot of other roads since then. But I think it says so much about the song. You can sing that song with such authenticity because I think it elicits an emotion that everybody in the human race is somewhat familiar with. Things don't work out, but rather than it be some, bluesy ballad, it's this song of triumph, I've made up my mind. I'm not wasting no more time because here I go again. Right, love it. It is a classic track. Of course, Whitesnake covered their own track a couple times. They did "Fool for Your Lovin'" and "Crying in the Rain," but here I go again off of the what was later titled the '87 album, which is really just a self-titled album. Really brought them to prominence in the United States, and of course, you guys know "Still of the Night," of course, from Landon Sims. I was so grateful for Spencer Price for helping those guys pick out some super cool tracks. But that's your top 10 list, again, brought to you by Kalido Guitars. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. You know Campus Bookmart well, and if you don't, you should. When you're looking for Mississippi State merchandise, gift ideas, apparel, look no further than a Starkville legendary business, Campus Bookmart. Be sure and go by and see their smiling faces next time you're in town. I met some of you this weekend there signing books, and I appreciate you guys coming out. And you can find signed copies of all my books there, but in addition, you can find the greatest in Mississippi State merch. Graduation is coming up. This is finals week. Be thinking about those diploma frames. It is a timeless gift. I cannot recommend it enough. I know every time that I bought somebody a diploma frame, they have been incredibly touched because it is typically a gift that people don't think of. While you're there, buy something for yourself. If you can't visit them in person, check them out online at campusbookmart.net. And to give you some incentive, for being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. That is BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. Okay, let's go back and look at the weekend that was in the Southeastern Conference. We visited on Friday morning, and so we'll kind of run through these pretty quick here. So Georgia, 9-2 winners over Missouri, but I give Missouri some credit. They have kind of, They've competed a little bit against Georgia at home and maybe Georgia. Again, Georgia on the road offensively is not the same team. But they win that first one. Oklahoma, Kyson Witherspoon was phenomenal. In the words of Ben Howland against Ole Miss. And goes 7 innings pitched, no earned runs, 8 strikeouts as he ups his record to 9-2. The Sooners win that ball game 2-0. They got 2 in the fifth and made it hold up. Just 5 hits combined between the two teams. Vanderbilt jumps over Alabama 12-2, a mercy ruling in Nashville as they score 6 in the bottom of the 8th to put that game away. J.D. Thompson has really been good as of late for Vanderbilt. He's 4-4 on the year, but one of his better performances goes 7 innings pitched, allows nothing. Alabama scores 2 in the 8th just to make it interesting. It's funny how that works. But Vanderbilt's like, yeah, we'll take care of this. We will take care of this. And they did. Arkansas jumps all over Texas, 6-1. What a loud weekend for the Razorbacks. And you start beginning to think about, is Arkansas good enough to win the whole shoot match? They've had some up and downs at times, but Texas comes in there, and you know what that means to the old guard, the old Southwest Conference, right? Right? And so Arkansas gets after them, wins 6-1, and that's a good offense to really kind of hold down. Gage Wood in relief, 4 innings pitched, allows nothing. 1 earned run. But nevertheless, bullpen holds up for him. I got my notes wrong there. South Carolina and Florida, more competitive than you might expect. South Carolina has a 4-1 lead after 3, and then from there it was pretty much all Gators. Gators get 2 in the 4th, 5 in the 5th, and then tack on 1 more in the 8th to win 9-5. And so not a lot of games played on Friday due to weather. It's a very busy day in the league on Saturday. Auburn 6-1 winners over Tennessee in Knoxville. And this is an Auburn team that we played last week. We saw them up close on the road, and we made some mistakes in those ball games, but you look at it and feel like, hey, we're right there. Auburn just takes care of Tennessee that has really scuffled here as of late. It's a really big win for Auburn. Arkansas takes the series with a 13-8 win over Texas. Very competitive in the middle innings, but down the stretch in the final third, it's Arkansas outscoring Texas 4-1 to put that game away 13-8. Dylan Carter now 5-0 out of the bullpen for the Razorbacks. LSU, Texas A&M, interesting series. A&M gets game 1, 3-1, and everybody thought, hey, this is could be the series of the weekend. Ryan Prager just 3-3. Remember, Prager is the guy that cost us. You remember that? You remember all of our coverage about the Angels and David Mershon and all that. Prager's the guy that didn't sign, and as a result, there was a little surplus left that cost us Dave Mershon. Prager now 3-3 on the year. Turned down a lot of money. I don't know that he's helped himself. Of course, state 10-run rules. Kentucky. Alabama strikes back, 5-2 winners in Game 2 against Vanderbilt. Riley Quick, who has really come on this year for Alabama, he beat State. He was the one winner against us. 7-2 on the year, 9 Ks in a 6-inning performance there. Oklahoma takes the series over Ole Miss 5-3. A lot of hits in this ball game, but they just couldn't string them together. 20 hits combined, 10 hits apiece. Oklahoma jumps out early, 3-0. Just kind of ambushing the starter there. Then they get a run back. Next thing you look up, it's a 5-1 ball game. Ole Miss scores a couple in the 7th to make it look a little more respectable. But catcher Easton Carmichael from Oklahoma, 4 for 5 in the ball game with a couple of home runs. Cade Crossland, again, a guy that I didn't really know if was going to be an SEC guy. He's 4-3, but has really done well here as of late. LSU gets even with Texas A&M with a 2-1 win. I don't know if you expected that kind of scoring between those two teams, but Anthony Ianson, absolutely amazing performance for him. He goes the distance. 9 innings pitched. He is your SEC pitcher of the week. 7-2 record. 14 strikeouts against a really good A&M lineup. And give A&M pitching some credit, too, for kind of hanging in there. I mean, the Aggies, you start beginning to think about how this is working out. It'll be interesting. State 1-11. And then Georgia has to come from behind. They get down 2-0 in the first against Missouri, and then score 1 in the fifth, and then 4 in the sixth to get a 5-2 victory, which takes us into Sunday, which proved to be decision day for a lot of people. And a lot of other teams out there are just trying to salvage something. Of course, Bulldogs complete the sweep. Tennessee, 5-4 winners in 11. Yeah, Liam Dole gets the that's the suspended game. They suspended this one, so they had to finish this one, which proved to be the middle game, and then play the Sunday game or game 3. Ike Irish 2 for 4 with an RBI for the Tigers there. Hunter Inslee 4 for 6 for Tennessee. And then Florida just absolutely destroyed South Carolina. If you're South Carolina, do you have to think that we got to make a coaching change? Maybe you do. Guys, they get beat 22-3 in this ball game. That is a gaudy SEC score. Florida with 11 runs in the 9th inning. Craziness, man. Craziness. I mean, think about that. It's 11-3 going to the 9th. The game is over, and then South Carolina just simply couldn't get anybody out. Georgia, again, a bit of a tussle with Missouri. The Tigers get up 1-0, and again, Georgia comes from behind here and wins the game 4-2. And here's the thing, Missouri now 0-24. That now ties an SEC record for league losses in a season. Now, since we went to the 30-game schedule in 1996, we have never had a team go winless. As a matter of fact, we've never had a team be 0-24 with 2 weekends to play. Now, there have been some teams that had 24 losses, but they also had a handful of wins. I would venture to say, I got my notes in front of me here. You go back and kind of look at this. So in Alabama in 1994, and that's before the 30-game schedule, they went 4-22. Yeah. And so that's arguably one of the worst teams. Alabama in 79 went 4-17. But we've never had a team in the 30-game era lose more than 24 games. So with the next Missouri loss, they will set a new SEC record in futility. Now, I got curious and didn't have to look for long because I remembered very quickly, hey, how long does the losing streak go? Well, remember they beat us on Game 3 last year in Starkville. That was their last SEC win. It was a win over Mississippi State. Very interesting. Texas A&M, 6-4 winners over LSU. And LSU is ranked number 2 in the country. But, good win for the Aggies. They're now 10-14, just like your Bulldogs. Auburn takes Game 3 of this series. It proved to be another 7, but 8-1 winners. Tennessee held to just 4 hits. Christian Chatterton pitched and did a great job. For Auburn. Huge, huge win for Auburn. And now you really start getting serious about this Auburn team as a host. That RPI is going to be great. Ole Miss battles back and wins the Sunday game to salvage something the weekend 7-3. But they have scuffled a little bit. We're going to talk about them a lot this week as we prepare for what's next at Mississippi State. And that's going to be the rivalry series. Vanderbilt, 9-7 winners over Alabama. Kind of a wild series, and we thought a lot about that Vanderbilt offense. We knew Alabama was a team that was good, not great offensively. Vanderbilt has been really good pitching-wise, but they showed this week, and of course the Bama bullpen kind of lets them down. Vandy scores 7 in the 8th and 9th combined, 3 in the 8th, 4 in the 9th to win that game 9-7. They walk it off. In the 9th, Alabama looked like they were in position to take a very important road series win. They can't get it done. Florida then 8-0 winners in 7 against South Carolina. And things are a mess at South Carolina. And it's going to be even more difficult to go out and try to hire somebody. So what happens? Steve, I heard all the scores, but how did it all stack up? Here's how it went. Arkansas swept Texas 3-0. Auburn goes to Knoxville and takes 2 of 3. Georgia went to Missouri and swept the Tigers 3-0. Kentucky comes to Mississippi State and gets swept 3-0. LSU goes to A&M and drops the series as the Aggies win 2-1. Alabama loses Vanderbilt 2-1. Florida on the road, the elusive road sweep, and Florida now playing really good baseball. They kind of found themselves against Missouri for sure. And then Ole Miss goes to Oklahoma and loses the series. And so, again, you kind of work through all this, but it wasn't a bad weekend for road teams in some respects. But, you had a couple of sweeps on the road, and then, of course, Auburn wins at Knoxville. Always interesting, right? And so, Steve, what does that mean for us? Well, as it stands right now, we are tied for 12th in the SEC, which, at this point, we're not chasing a championship. We're just trying to get enough wins to get in a regional somewhere because this team's playing so well. And so you look ahead of us, Ole Miss, 2 games ahead of us in the standings. And if I had told you a month ago that when we got to the next to the last weekend that we'd have a chance, at least mathematically, to pass Ole Miss in the standings, you wouldn't have believed it. They're fading. They're scuffling a little bit. Now, Kentucky, we're tied with them but hold the tiebreaker. So if the tournament started today, we'd be the 12 seed. They would be 13. And the way the bracket, I believe, is going to work, we'd be playing LSU. Yeah, and LSU is LSU. Florida is a game ahead of us at 11-13. Florida's playing exceptionally well. Oklahoma, 3 games ahead of us too. Auburn, Oklahoma, Ole Miss all tied right there together. And so Alabama too. So there's 4 teams right there. If we continue to play well, we got a good chance to pick some of those teams off and still have a chance to finish in the top half of this league. Going to take 2 huge weekends, but it can be done. And that's the thing you start thinking about now. You got the bonus win we talked about. Is it conceivable this team can go 5-1 the last 2 weekends? Well, considering that Missouri hadn't beat anybody, yes, that's a possibility. You win the series against Ole Miss, you sweep Missouri, you're going to finish 500 in the league. Somehow you find a way to sweep them both, all of a sudden you're finishing 2 games above 500. And that seemed, let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? No midweek game, so we'll see how things go when Ole Miss comes in. And again, we're going to talk a lot about them this week. But real quickly, kind of looking ahead at the weekend and kind of who our rooting interest is, and we'll revisit this topic later in the week. But a lot of these teams, we don't play. Texas is going to play at Alabama. We've played them both. We own 2 wins over Alabama. So mathematically, that may work a little bit in our favor if they're able to win a game or 2. Auburn, this isn't right. I'm wrong about that. Let me go back. I'm sorry. I was confused. Real quickly, before we get to the weekend matchups, it's not going to be a very busy night in the SEC in the state of Mississippi, but it will be busy around the league. Vanderbilt will be at Louisville. Indiana State is at Tennessee. South Florida will be at Florida. Kansas at Missouri. I believe that's the 3rd game between the 2 of them. I think. Maybe it's just 2. Maybe it's just a home and home. Alabama will be at Troy. That could be an interesting game. That's a top 25 matchup. And then Lamar is at Texas. Grambling's at LSU. Texas A&M is at Houston. So that's your Tuesday games. There are no midweek games, but we do have one series beginning on Thursday as South Carolina visits Auburn. And you got to think if you're Auburn, you're number 8 in the country now. You've put together a really good stretch. Now you had the big sweep over LSU. Now you've taken 2 out of 3 in Knoxville. You got to feel good about where you sit. So we get into the weekend. Vanderbilt to Tennessee. And with Tennessee scuffling a little bit, I'm still not sold on Vanderbilt, but it'll be interesting to see how Tennessee responds. Oklahoma is at Kentucky. Tough to win on the road, but Oklahoma has some pitching. Offensively, Kentucky proved to be a little bit worse than I expected, but give our pitchers some credit. Oklahoma's going to pitch it pretty well. At least you got Kyson Witherspoon going one day. So you feel like Oklahoma can get 1, maybe get 2. We'll see. Georgia is at Alabama. Yeah, Georgia's at Alabama. That'll be interesting, too. That short portion, right? Does Georgia's offense travel to Tuscaloosa? We'll find out. Missouri is at Texas A&M. And the way Texas A&M has played as of late, do you give Missouri a chance to win one of those games? I'd love for them to. I would, because we don't play Texas A&M. And I'd love for Missouri to win that series or even sweep that series just because of the fact that, we could use the RPI points. So we're going to need them all. Arkansas will beat LSU. That'll be a great series. It's interesting, though, LSU still ranked number 3. I don't know. And then Oklahoma, Texas still number 1 after getting swept. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Florida will be at Texas, and that's a red-hot Florida team going down to Austin. That could be a fun one. And, of course, State and Ole Miss. And, again, we'll talk a lot about that as we get into the week. All right, let's wrap things up here. If you are bringing a large group to town, take them to the Stark Vegas Clubhouse, right? That is the best place to stay. Wonderful accommodations. We have stayed there. Stayed there for New Year's, had a great time, watched a lot of football. We ate a lot of food. We just enjoyed each other's company. And it is one of those trips that I think that we want to do from now on. You get all the grandkids, all the kids, everybody together under one roof, and you can play board games and watch movies and have all this fun. I think we watched Footloose. I think it was some movie my daughter-in-law didn't get to see. She was homeschooled. You can draw your own conclusions, but I don't remember what it was. But nevertheless, we had a good time. It was Footloose. But anyway, you can watch Footloose with your friends or family by Googling the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. And when you do, their Facebook page auto-populates, and you can see all the pictures of all the amenities available to you and your guests, including the full-service kitchen, the wet bar, the back porch area, the fire pit area, just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus. And when you Google, some booking options are going to come up too. Airbnb, VRBO, but if you want to save some money, I can help you with the Evolve website. Book through the Evolve website. Use promo code BSR10. That's beautiful Steve Robertson, the number 10, BSR10. Get 10% off your stay. Saving some money at the premium place to stay in the Golden Triangle just by being a listener to this show. Be sure and check them out today, the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus. Do your tailgating right then and there. All right, little coaching search news. And again, I preface this by saying there's not a lot to know yet other than some candidates, right? And some of those are just kind of candidates that make sense. Let me tell you right now, I do not expect Nick Mingione or Butch Thompson to be the coach. Okay, I don't expect that. And I think it's important to kind of get that out of there, that we kind of temper people's expectations. Another couple other names. Tony Vitello is not going to be your coach, okay? I've seen some people in the Facebook groups, and I love you all to death, but no, that's not going to be the case. And Andy Cannizaro is not going to be your coach either. And I wish we could stop insulting our program by suggesting such. That's how I feel. And part of this, and some of you hold blame for this. You do. Because you beat this drum that, Lemonis won the national championship with Andy's players. Yeah, he won them with his players, Andy's players, and some John Cohen players too. And as I shared the other day, Andy Cannizaro never won a game as the Mississippi State head coach with a player that he recruited. Did you know that? Oh, you didn't? Well, maybe add that to your list of talking points. So no, it's not going to be Andy Cannizaro. So we can stop talking about it. It's absolutely ridiculous that people would suggest that. There is zero chance of that happening. Zero. Do you even know where Andy Cannizaro is now? I mean, honestly, those of you, maybe he's learned his lesson. No. Makes me feel good about my exes that they don't feel that way. Well, maybe Steve's learned his lesson, or maybe I've learned my lesson. Once we break up, we're done. When I was single, we might get together every once in a while, but we're never, ever, ever getting back together. I should write that song, right? All that understood, that's going to be the case, that it's not going to be one of those names. I mean, barring something totally unforeseen. And so I think you're going to see a lot of G5 names kind of pop up. They're doing due diligence. You've hired Parker Search Firm. And I think Zach Sullivan's going about this very methodically. And I think there are some people that think we kind of have the illusion of time. You really don't. Now, it's going to be a while before you hire anybody. But Zach Sullivan is smart enough to know that there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. There's always this pre-portaling type stuff, right? So, yeah, these guys are playing, but you better believe there's some guys that are on our team that, their reps are probably already being contacted. It's like, hey, Mississippi State's going to make a coaching change. If you guys are looking to make a change, we will absolutely take you here. If you don't think those conversations are already happening, you're kidding yourself. But, a lot of traction out there among our fan base for Will Coggin, of course. Played at State. He wasn't a great player at State. He was a better assistant coach here than he was a player. And again, you look at, he helped comprise the roster that competed for a national championship in 2013 at Mississippi State. Went to Kentucky, put together a roster that ultimately went to Omaha, and now he's at Georgia and got them, red hot right now. And so there's a lot of people within the baseball community who are like, hey, that makes a lot of sense. Is the timing right, though? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. Of course, Skylar Meade at Troy is a name that's been tossed about a lot. Brian O'Connor from Virginia, I don't want you guys to get wholly invested in that at this point. Yes, there is a lot of chatter that he is somewhat unhappy with the scenario regarding scholarship allocation at the University of Virginia. There's a lot of chatter about that, and I believe there is some truth to that, and that dates back to last year. His name surfaced in the Texas A&M search, and that was one of the talking points that kind of got put out of there, and people were like, well, he really was never going to leave. And that's the thing that I kind of bring up too. This may be a leverage situation, so I don't want you to get enamored and go change your profile pic to a picture of Brian O'Connor wearing an over S cap. We are not at that point yet. We're absolutely not there yet. And I think it's important for you guys to understand nothing's going to happen for at least 3 weeks or so. We're going to get through the regular season. We're going to have the tournaments, the conference tournaments. There could be a scenario maybe where we start getting a little more traction of truth as we get into the conference tournaments. But, once the regular season is over, you kind of have a pretty good idea of who's going to make the tournament and who's not. And, we certainly don't need a coach going to Omaha. I know some other people would argue, we need somebody to get here and get boots on the ground, start working the portal, but also to work in player retention. So my honest opinion is if I was doing the hiring, I would rather have the SEC longtime assistant than maybe even a sitting G5 coach, unless that guy has experience within our league. The recruiting piece within this league is unlike anything else, anywhere else in all of college baseball. And as a source told me earlier today, you think things are cutthroat in football, you don't know anything about baseball. Everything in college baseball is cutthroat. Everything in college baseball is cutthroat. And so we can ill afford to kind of drag our feet, and I know that we won't. But it's going to be, at times, kind of a stressful deal for you guys, right? Because you're just ready to know. That's why I'm so encouraged the team is winning, because it kind of provides, number one, us a chance to go do something of significance. But also, too, could you imagine how painful this would be if the kids and coaches were just mailing it in? And then all you had to look forward to was the coaching search. Well, we can conduct the coaching search and coach and play some pretty good baseball. So we've kind of got a good distraction. And again, let's all get behind this team. And part of your part in all of this, I think, is to kind of show them, hey, this is when Mississippi State is at its best. Hey, we had to move on from a coach, and look at the fact that, we got record crowds out here. It's wall to wall. These people love baseball. They're eager to win here at Mississippi State, and they'll do anything they can to help you. That's your role. And I think that's not just if you can attend games. I think that's being positive on social media too. We lose nothing by winning, because we're making a coaching change either way. It's done, right? And so now let's get behind our players and coaches as a family and kind of move this thing forward. If you hadn't done so, go to DutyNobleBook.com, and you can get signed copies of all of my sports titles in addition to When the Bottom Falls. They're all available there for your reading pleasure. And come flow with us, man. It's been a busy stretch. Mother's Day's coming up, and you probably haven't even thought about what to get her. Well, you can get 2 floats for $99. You can call Dana at 662-268-7601, or we're all over social media these days, and you can go click and just order online. And again, normal floats, the first float is $65, but normally it's $89. So we're giving you basically, it's not quite a BOGO, but it's close, like 2 for $99. Now you can give them both to her, or if you're the daughter or the son, you can come float too. Not with her, but you can float at the same time. If you're the husband, you can do it too. So you get 2 floats for the price of $99, and then come be a part of that. And we've been selling them like gangbusters. It's been a great gift idea. All of our marketing has been about kind of taking care of mom, but you know what? You can take care of dad too. And you never know, you may just decide to be a member. And speaking of being a member, come join us over at genespage.com. We'd love to have you. And until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.